absolutely amazing first several weeks from Donald Trump. So shocking indeed that CNN is losing their minds. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Trump approval blows CNN's Harry Enton away after unpopular first term. Indeed, the Real Clear Politics average and even 538 have Trump swimmingly in his approval ratings. Now, this is a pre-record. I recorded this a few days ago, so maybe it will have changed by then. Who knows? But in the meantime, let me just tell you that even CNN is shocked to discover that Donald Trump is indeed popular. That's why last week at the Super Bowl, Taylor Swift got booed and Trump got cheered. Uh-oh. It says a network error caused the media download to fail.
So you're going to show us sort of where we're at now and how rare it is that this number
so
changed.
I want you to take a look at this plus sign, right? Compare that to the negative sign. Being on the plus side of the ledger, right? In positive net approval territory. A positive net approval rating for Donald Trump. Again, whoa, 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 whoa. Entire first term, just 11 days, Donald Trump had a net positive approval rating. Compare that to the second term just so far. Every single day of Trump's second term so far, he has been on the positive side of the ledger. 21 days, all 3 weeks. That's already 10 more days than he was in his entire first term. So again, this is just another sign that Americans are far more likely to like what they're seeing in his second term than they were during his first term.
He also won the popular vote in his second term.
Indeed,
so it stands to reason that there would be more people that would approve of some of what he's doing. Is there something that Americans say about why it is that they like him now more than they did back in the first term?
You know, let's jump into that. I'm going to pause, Mr. Harry Enton, real quick. I'm going to show you Real Clear Politics. As of the beginning of the week, plus, in aggregate, 3.7. But get this, 538 actually has Trump's approval at 5.2. I couldn't believe it. Because even when RCP would show Trump doing well in any capacity, 538 would always be underwater for Donald Trump. 5.2% approval from 538. Tremendous. But let me tell you. Now, I know he's going to mention a lot of things. Before he does, I want to say this. Trump warned y'all. And many others before him. But people didn't believe it. So in 2016, when they cemented his feet and dropped him into the water so that he could not do anything, they weighed him down. Largely, look, I'm going to be honest, Trump's own fault. He picked some bad people. This time around, oh boy, he's got some good people. A lot of people didn't like the idea of Rubio, but Rubio's turning out to be doing a pretty good job. Getting rid of the USAID woke stuff. I like it. Trump picked Rubio, and he was probably the easiest confirmation because everyone's like, yeah, because Rubio's going to shill for the deep state. I think Rubio's going to shill for the winners. Donald Trump warned you all about the border. He warned everybody about manufacturing, about China, and they didn't believe him. A lot of Americans believed the fake news in the corporate press. And then they got 4 years of Joe Biden, and boy, did they learn their lesson. So now that people have been smacked in the face by the cold, harsh realities of what's been going on, maybe now they realize that what Trump is doing is what we need to be done. But take it away, Harry, CNN.
I think one of the things that's so important for politicians is for folks to believe what they're saying and that they're keeping their campaign promises.
Fair.
So I think this gives you a pretty gosh darn good idea of what may be going on. Trump's doing what he promised to do. You go back to April of 2017, it was just 46% of all Americans who said that Trump was doing what he promised to do. Compare that now to February of 2025. You know, there was a good show that was on during the 1990s called A Different World. That is what's going on right now. We're living in a different world.
I want to, this weekend, I was hanging out at Merritt. We were at Arundel Mills, I think that's how you pronounce it. And they got a mall there, and there's a casino and stuff. And I was at the casino, and they were playing True Faith by, why am I forgetting the name of this band? Bizarre Love Triangle. How am I? Are you kidding me? I'm totally. Here we go. True Faith. Do you guys know that song by New Order? How did I forget New Order? How does that one go? That one's like, I used to think that the day would never come. I'd see the light in the shade of the morning sun. I love that song. Yo, that song's 40 years old. 40 years ago. And, man, also Bizarre Love Triangle. What an epic song. Blue Monday? Come on, let's go. New Order. 40 years ago. Imagine in the 90s, I don't know, many of you may be too young, too old, but I'm just imagining growing up in the 90s and being like, we're going to put on some 1950s. It's like, we didn't really do that. We didn't really do that. 70s was considered classic and old. Now it's only 20 years. Now we're looking at 40-year-old music. Here's why I bring this up. Y'all got to understand. When he's talking about Donald Trump in 2017, yo, that's 8 years. 8. That means a 10-year-old, okay? Some kid is 10 years old in 2017, and they voted in 2024. That plays a significant role in what we are seeing, and people need to understand this. We need to be looking at the younger generation's trends, because I don't think the boomers' opinion changes all that much. Gen X, a little bit, obviously. People in general have to wake up to this stuff. But I think what we're seeing here is younger generations are coming in, and we've seen data showing that Gen Z and Gen Alpha, not so much that Gen Alpha is voting or anything, but Gen Z, slightly more conservative than millennials in a lot of ways. And support for LGBTQ stuff, way down. Understand, we're talking about almost a decade. So there's a 15-year-old kid who doesn't know up from down when it comes to Trump or politics. But then 8 years later, he's in his early 20s and he votes. He votes for the president. And this is what you see. And to be fair, you could argue he voted for Biden, but I really doubt he voted at all.
70% of Americans say Trump is doing what he promised to do. Again, compare that to April of 2017 when it's just 46%. When Americans are 24 points more likely to say that you're doing what you promised to do, it's no wonder that your net approval rating is much more likely to be on the positive side of the ledger than on the negative side. And so far, what we're seeing, again, is Americans, 21 days so far versus just 11 days during his entire first term, that Trump has a positive net approval rating.
We get
Quite a different world.
Totally. And thank you, because it's the same world with you every day. Lots of energy, no matter what.
But you know what he didn't tell you? He didn't tell you what those promises were. And we know why. It's because the promises were to deport criminals. And there are people out there. I saw this. There was this one viral post where some guy was like, my friend's a Democrat, lifelong Dem. And he posted something like, Trump is deporting murderers and rapists, and Democrats are acting like it's a bad thing. These people have lost their mind. I saw other posts where people were like, I've been a Democrat my whole life, and their treatment of RFK Jr. is absolutely psychotic. RFK Jr. was a Democrat trying to run on the Democrat ticket. And then as soon as he's like, I'm with Trump and we're going to make this country healthy, all of the Democrats unanimously opposed him. Here's a guy who went to these Democrats, RFK Jr., and said, we're going to get the chemicals out of our food. We're going to clean up the environment and make everybody healthy. And they were like, that's really good to me, says Bernie. But in the moment he's with Trump, no, now I oppose you. Screw off. We're not buying the lies anymore. Donald Trump is sending in Doge to clean up the bloat. And people are finding out that they're spending tens of thousands, millions, and billions of dollars on ridiculous garbage overseas. Meanwhile, we have homeless people and we don't have health care for a large portion of people in this country. So you go to anyone, moderate, liberal, right now, and you say, you know, they're spending like $15 million on insert weird program. And they're going to be like, yeah, that's dumb. Hey, how about we do health care instead? And they're going to be like, I want health care. I want health care. Instead, Democrats are doubling down. And don't get me wrong, there are a lot of weirdos. A lot of weirdo Democrat voters who are like, I like that we're spending $10 million overseas on gender study programs. Okay. Well, I tell you this, the moderate liberal type, the moderate Democrat who actually isn't wrapped up in the cult and they voted for Democrats because they don't know much. You go to them and say, how would you like to have health care and stop spending money on foreign countries? They're going to be like, yeah, I guess. Probably makes sense, right? What if we said, hey, you know how we spent $500 billion on these overseas programs? And it's probably more than that. Hey, what if we just did healthcare instead? They'd be like, yeah. And and the Democrats are going to say, you can't afford universal healthcare with that much. And Republicans might agree. And I'll be like, yeah, but you can't afford basic stuff. See, I'm a fan of the idea of universal basic healthcare. What that means is if you break an arm, they'll set it for you and they're not going to bill you because there's some subsidy there. Obviously, more advanced diseases, things we don't have cures for, you can't do. But we can't have people dying of the flu, man. And there's stories of kids dying with the flu. That's not a good thing. Insulin's got to get cheaper. Unfortunately, for all of us and for all of you and all the libs, we're not going to get anywhere near that so long as we're dumping money on these garbage programs for no reason. So why don't we start here? Why don't we start negotiating? How about Democrats come up and say, okay, let's end USAID and all of this slush fund spending, and we'll do healthcare instead. Republicans are going to be like, okay, let's figure something out. I'm sure the pharmaceutical companies would love it like they love Bernie. But you know what, man? In the meantime, I'll tell you this. CNN's still not telling you what Trump promised to do. And people like what he's doing. That's what they approve. And that is deporting the criminals. Step 1. Gutting the bloat, the waste, the fraud, and the abuse. Step 2. I look forward to seeing what he does next. Smash that like button. Share the show with everyone you know. Become a member at timcast.com. Thanks for hanging out. And we will see you all today. We got more segments coming up. We'll see you all then.